Hello guys, we're back decorating another cake today. This one is a 6-inch chocolate sponge filled with chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream and swirled with some semi-sweet chocolate ganache. I asked my customer if they wanted chocolate buttercream or a ganache filling, and he literally just said yes. So I added both. This ended up working out great because I had some leftover ganache from when I made my buttercream. How did you make buttercream, Jane? That's a great question, let me tell you. Basically, I just made my semi-sweet ganache, which is equal parts milk chocolate and dark chocolate, and then half of the weight of that in double cream. I hope that made sense, but if it doesn't, I have a whole chapter dedicated to ganache in my ebook, which is linked in my bio. But here, I just finished off the crumb coat and I smoothed that out as best as I can, and then I let it set in the fridge for like 15 minutes before I started on my final coat. I get questions on my buttercream all the time. I use a mock Swiss meringue buttercream, which essentially is a Swiss meringue buttercream, but easier to make, quicker to make, and tastes just as silky. And once again, I have a whole chapter dedicated to that in my ebook as well. But I like to whiten my buttercream using an icing whitener and a drop of purple to get that bright white. So my customer ordered this cake for his girlfriend, and he told me that she watches my TikToks all the time and had this exact photo saved to her Pinterest. No pressure. Oh my days. So at first I was like, how am I supposed to recreate the coral? So this is me doing it with royal icing. Let me just say that did not work. They were too fragile and were breaking every 2 seconds. So I went and switched over to white chocolate, and then I got my airbrush machine and I brushed it this orangey red color. This was so satisfying to do, by the way. But once I'd finished airbrushing, I just put everything in the freezer and I hoped for the best because I've never done this before. Here, I used a balled up piece of cling film to add some texture to the side of the cake. I literally just dipped it in my buttercream and then I tapped on the cake, and it created this really nice effect. Immediately after that, I chucked some sprinkles onto the wet buttercream so that they would stick. And as I'm watching this back, I just realized, Jane, you really do got this in the bag. Like, whenever I see comments that are like, is there anything you can't do? I ask myself the same question because no matter the brief, I'll always challenge myself to bring a customer's vision to life, even if it means some crash outs, heavy on the crash outs, or spending, some extra hours in the kitchen just figuring it out. Guys, this cake. But yeah, if I promise someone a cake, they're getting a cake. And I like the challenge. I feel like it improves my skill set and just makes me more of a well-rounded individual. But anyway, I finally managed to place all of the coral, and it kind of reminded me of that Indian dessert. What's it called again? Jalebi? Yeah, my dad is obsessed with that dessert. He used to buy it all the time for us. But yeah, after I finished placing the coral, I added on some fondant seashells. I did go back and change the color of these. I thought the pink didn't really match well with the orange. I then added some buttercream to my piping bag, and I piped on these little bubbles just to give it that under the water vibe. I was so tempted to add this little seahorse that I made, but I have a tendency to stray away from the inspiration picture. Yeah, so I reined it in and I just added these little florals instead. And it was a really nice pop of color, and they really just brought out the corally vibe. I finished off the cake with some glitter. Not quite sure why I didn't show that, but here is a final look of the cake. This cake definitely challenged me, but I am so obsessed with how it turned out. I can really see the coral. You guys let me know if you can tell it's coral, but regardless, my customer loved it. He said his girlfriend is gonna love it. And as always, let me know what you guys think. Bye, cuties.